So I wanted this video to be all about how we can leverage Chat GPT to our advantage within the recruitment process to save that beautiful mental capacity that we have for the more value-adding parts of what we need to do when we interact with organizations. But times have changed, and more interesting, in my opinion, is the power shift that comes from introducing AI tools into both the recruitment process, but also into how we as individuals go through that process and interact with organizations, companies, businesses, corporations, whatever. Already, the gap between the process that organizations have for bringing people in is severely lacking. It doesn't allow people to showcase the best of themselves, the skills they have, capacity, capability, character, drive, you name it. Capturing these things with some kind of tool or process has been the age-old demon of organizations. Most of them don't do it very well. And then you layer in the next generation of A+ talent coming through Gen Z and then Gen Alpha, who demand personalization and a greater connection with organizations, a deeper meaning and purpose to the work that they're doing within their lives. This is something that the next generation of talent will demand. It will be an expectation, a minimum hygiene standard set by organizations. And maybe at some point, AI will be better than a person within the recruitment process. But right now, I think it is a very fine line for organizations and recruiters in those organizations to toe between using AI as something that can save time in some respects, so greater personalization and human-to-human interaction can take place, and using AI as a generic blanket approach for people, which will increase the chasm of what we've just discussed. But why is this important for the layman, you and me? Trust me, it's easier for you and me to integrate AI into our workflows, into how we manage situations, than it is for organizations and the people who act as proxy for the organizations in the recruitment process, it's recruiters, to integrate AI in an automated way into their processes. You might find a savvy person using AI in their personal capacity, and you might find AI tools being used for one segment of the recruitment process, but you will not find an end-to-end AI recruitment solution that still meets the demands of connection and personalization that people really expect and require from organizations within the recruitment process. But multiple AI tools across the different stages of the recruitment process, also integrated into the legacy systems that many huge corporations are relying on, that already don't have modern integrations just because of how old and how cumbersome it is actually to navigate them. Integrating AI into those systems is not happening anytime soon. So what does that mean for you and me? Well, there's going to be a period where organizations are grappling with how to integrate AI, where you'll have individuals using it well and you'll have others using it poorly. This kind of disruption gives a distinct advantage to people who are sure in themselves, who know how to use technology to their advantage, and who are aware of how the power is shifting within this dynamic. And let me be clear, it is not the brilliant people, the recruiters, who are the problem in this situation. It is that organizations are slow. So you're telling me we can use AI to our advantage. How do we do that? We can use AI, simple AI like Chat GPT, to do 80% of the boring, monotonous work in the recruitment process that previously we would have to do. And we can do it while bypassing AI detection, which organizations will also be integrating into their processes, I'm sure. We have some steps within the recruitment process. And lucky for you, I've identified some of the skills that AI has that we can use in each of these steps that we have. I am going to be referring to Chat GPT within this, because I like that as a holistic solution. We don't have to move between different applications, and it is free. Whereas a lot of the more specific detailed AI tools usually sits behind a really expensive paywall. If you're like me and you come from a developing country, $50 is not something that I would pay to screen my CV. So ChatGPT is free. It is the tool that I would use for this workflow. We want to minimize our energy expenditure and maximize what we get out of the energy we do put in. As I said in the beginning of this video, I'm not going to go in depth into each of these steps. If you do want that video, comment down below because I've actually filmed it, but it is long and editing that video is going to take a lot of time, and I will do it for you if you want it. What we are going to do is go very quickly through each step of this recruitment process and the subsequent skill that I see Chat GPT as having that can help us do the work. The first one is obviously finding companies. Chat GPT is a list-making machine, but you need to focus its search. So when you are searching, try be specific with the sort of industry that you want, with the sort of job that you want, the sort of job level that you want, what location you want it in, and you're going to get a ton of lists. If you specify how many companies that you want, you could say 15, 20, 50, you name it, it'll give you that amount. Next, of course, we have value alignment. And for me, this is essential because we are creating lives here for ourselves that are aligned with what we actually want from our lives. So don't go work for a company that is destroying the planet when you actually believe that sustainable actions are possible and it is the responsibility of corporates to bring it to life. We can use ChatGPT to do the research, to do the summarizing of the research, and then synthesize the findings. So compare our values versus what the organization's values are to narrow down our search. And that's essential if you've got a ton of companies on your list. Unfortunately, you're still going to have to go onto one of the recruitment sites of the company and see if they have any jobs available for you. To my knowledge, there isn't an AI yet that is correlating different recruitment sites onto one job board. Back to the point of this, understanding the job is essential. So you can take the job description off of a website and plug it directly into ChatGPT and ask it to summarize it for you, pull out key points for you. What are the responsibilities? What are the primary skills? And the list goes on. Next is, of course, an application. So now you know the primary things that the job is about. You're going to have to actually apply through their recruitment website. And most of the time, organizations require a CV and a cover letter. Although, to be honest, between you and me, I don't even know if organizations read cover letters anymore. We also know that organizations filter through CVs and cover letters by highlighting keywords and pulling out things that you should have for the job and education level and all of those sorts of things. So, of course, you can use ChatGPT not only to tailor your CV for you, but to also highlight how words could change to fit those sorts of optimization processes best. You can ask it to write it for you, to be honest. Although I would say don't do that because this step of the process is also about creating a personal connection. It's the first touch point that many people have with an organization, unless you have some nepotism going on or you have a network, that is also acceptable. Then you've put your application in and you've gotten through to the next round. Sometimes that is psychological or psychometric testing. I'm going to do a full video on psychometric testing because I think it is a hiccup that a lot of people experience when they are going into larger organizations. And I also feel like organizations globally do not use psychometric testing in the correct way. With psychometric testing, we can use ChatGPT in a number of ways. We can ask it for questions in the given test that we have. Some common ones are logical reasoning, verbal reasoning, numerical reasoning, and then we can practice those so we can give our answer back into ChatGPT and ask for evaluation. The new ChatGPT 4, I expect that you could probably plug a video of you answering some interview questions in and get some feedback on how you went, although I haven't tested this out. The key to psychometric testing is preparation, so you get familiar with the way of thinking that the question requires of you. The next step is interview preparation. ChatGPT can help us with preparing, where we deep dive into an organization's strategy, into what its mission is, what it does. On interview day, you can also ask ChatGPT for some reassurance and answer any remaining questions you might have. I also have a gut feeling that you'd be able to take a picture of your interview outfit, plug it into ChatGPT and ask it if it's appropriate for whatever culture that you're entering into or whatever organizational context you are. So I think things are going to move very rapidly within this imagery and video space. Then, of course, after interviews, you should follow up with a response. And to simplify that, especially if you're in a number of different recruitment processes, you can use a template response from ChatGPT. You can even plug in your cover letter, ask it to analyze your tone of voice, and then create a tailored template for responding to employers after an interview for you with your tone of voice. We do the same for acceptance or rejection because nobody wants to spend time on a company that has rejected us. Plug in a ChatGPT response and make it ask for feedback. Because if you have spent time within an interview process, you've met with people, you've invested, then the organization should invest back in you. You should use all interview processes as a point to learn, grow, develop, get better at interviewing, because it is a skill. We should expect this from organizations. If they don't reply to our feedback request, then maybe it's not an organization we actually want to work with. I also realize that this is a privilege to have these sorts of thoughts, to pick and choose between organizations. Not everybody is in that state within their lives, and I recognize that. Pick and choose what you can from all of my content to how it fits within your personal context. It is a privilege to question organizations, to not take the first job that we get. But the thing that I want from you and for the people watching this video to realize is that a lot more is possible for us than what we think for ourselves. So even if you're in one state right now, we can always create systems and open our lives in a way that gives us more opportunities in the future. And that is what this channel is about. So the real question is actually point zero, going way back in this recruitment process to what do I actually want to do with my life? Who do I actually want to be? To take it right back to the start, this is an interesting time for the individual to be operating within a traditional system. Organizations are slow to move and slow to integrate advanced technology into their systems. So it provides a great opportunity for us as people who can actually adapt and move really quickly on the individual level to use technology to our advantage, to leverage the list making, researching, synthesizing skills of AI like Chat GPT. So when we conserve that sort of energy, we can use it to create more personal connection with the touch points we are interacting with within an organization. Because really, those touch points are all about how we make individuals feel when they interact with us. Yes, skills and capability are important, but it is much more important the sense that we give people in these interactions. So I will leave you with that and look out for my next video on getting closer to what we value, what drives us, and how we can begin to build lives that are centered around becoming who we actually want to be within this world.